This is a summary of ELIE Wiesel's Night, Part 1, which is basically sections 1 all the way to section 4. Now, ELIE Wiesel didn't number his sections. In fact, he did go ahead and split them into chapters, but he didn't bother even numbering them. So, I'm just going to call each of them chronologically ordering by number. So, let's get this started with. Section 1 to Section 4. In the beginning, it's 1941. ELIE Wiesel is just a teenager. He's like somewhere between 12 and 13. The book didn't specify. Also, most likely he's 12 years old. Regardless, what he does is that he's part of a pretty big Jewish family. His dad is a shopkeeper, and he is a pretty big Jewish. He's also one of the most respected people in the Jewish community in the town. His mother is also kind of another one of them, and he has 3 sisters, 2 older ones and 1 younger one. Young ELIE himself goes ahead and distinguishes himself apart from other boys by going ahead and studying a bunch of religious texts. One of them being the Kabbalah. Something that's kind of unusual for someone at his age, and also forbidden by his father, but he's not listening to him. He found his teacher named Moshe the Beetle, one of the biggest rabbis of Jewish community out there. He's also considered a foreigner. And he teaches this young little ELIE Wiesel the Kabbalah, which could ruin his mind, apparently, according to ELIE Wiesel. But he wasn't scared. He actually was, but he didn't want to admit it. And then suddenly one day he was deported. Moshe the Beetle, that is, away into a Polish camp, a concentration camp in Poland, mainly because he was a Jew and he was a foreigner. Hungarian Jews, well, the book says Romanian Jews were allowed to stay. For now at the time. Eventually, Moshe the Beetle returns. He's obviously a bit more aged, and he is very tired. And everyone calls him a madman because he's seen the concentration camp, and he tells of horrors that none of them actually believe in. Not even his former student, ELIE Wiesel, believes him. And for the rest of his days, he walks like a madman. And then in 1943, they were all forced to move to the ghettos. And then in 1944... every Jew was moved towards the concentration camp, the infamous one that most people know today, Auschwitz. There is not much more that can actually happen here. All the Jews are piled into one big carriage, each of them like jam-packed with a bunch of Jews. As I say jam-packed, I actually mean jam-packed. One of the women starts screaming about fire in their future, and that she sees fire, scaring all the Jews, and they're all like, we need to shut her up, or else we're gonna get scared. And so what they do? They gag her and tie her up. And that shuts her up, and they go to sleep. However, somehow she frees herself from the bonds and starts screaming about fire again, waking everyone up. And then some of the men start beating her up, with some protests from all the other men there. And her child is staying there, trying to just cling onto his mother, crying. This eventually just shuts her up, and so they stop beating her. When they reach the camp, they see the words Auschwitz, and they don't know what that means. They are told that this is just a labor camp and that they will stay with their families, intact. That turns out so not true. The women and the children are separated. Especially the women, and the boys and males are separated as well too. Most of the women and children are immediately incinerated due to them not being able to work. However, luckily for Wiesel and his father, they are able to pass this election and are able to go ahead and go to work. During this election, they are all given a little test. Some of them the doctors basically do this. Let's say this is the doctor and this is Wiesel. What the doctor asks: are you healthy? Yes. Okay, good. Next doctor. Then the dentist comes in and goes to check if they have gold teeth. And ELIE Wiesel himself has a gold tooth. And he marks it down. After that, they are sent to go work in their respective bunks. They are made to strip off their clothes and then shower. These are stick figures. They don't actually wear clothes. ELIE Wiesel and his father pass the selection, and they are allowed to be working at an electrical factory together. They do that for a while, and by the end of 1944, the summer of 1944, and that is, the Jewish high holidays arrive, which is called Rosh Hashanah. Oh, that fell off the screen. Rosh Hashanah. And this is a celebration of the New Year and Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which includes fasting. ELIE Wiesel's father forbids ELIE from fasting, and ELIE, of course, complies. They are all starving and only get a ration of bread, 2 rations of bread every day. Another selection is announced after the Jewish New Year, and Eleazar is actually kind of worried that he and his father will be separated again. Luckily, they are able to pass the selection. Eleazar returns to work, and it seems that there has been a miracle, and that a second selection occurred among the condemned, and ELIE Wiesel's father survived, and so they are able to work together again. Suddenly, the concentration camp is turned to be evacuated because Russians are sent to, liberate the camp. Thinking that the Jews in the infirmary will be put to death prior to the evacuation, Eliezer and his father choose to be evacuated with everyone else, even though Eliezer has a swollen foot and so cannot really walk as well. It is revealed that later in the future that Eliezer makes the wrong decision, that what happened to the people left behind in the evacuation were just saved by the Russians. What a bad fate. Eleazar, even though his foot is kind of bloody, leaving bloody marks in the snow, follows everyone else towards the new camp. And that is the end of the basic summary of Section 1 to Section 4 of ELIE Wiesel's Night. I hope to see you guys soon in the next summary. See you then. Bye-bye.